exciting edition of Poet the Poet, and I'm Robert Dunn, and I get the host because I won the toss. And I've got good news and other good news. The first good news is we have finally made it to Broadway. The catch is it's Broadway in Queens as opposed to Manhattan, because we are at Stowell Books in Astoria, which is on Broadway, the Queens version anyway, but you can see there's a lot of great books and a lot of atmosphere here, and thanks to Matt Stowell for letting us come in and do all this stuff. And what stuff we have, because our guests today include the alluring Penelope McGuffin over here, and Rhys Thompson and his poetry and his scarf, and we're looking forward to all of that. Rhys is a very colorful performer, but you think I'm kidding now, but you'll find out in a little while. But we're going to start with Penelope McGuffin. Welcome to Poet the Poet.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here, Robert.
Okay, I hope you feel that way by the end of the show, but we'll go on from there. Now, Penelope McGuffin was born in Brooklyn. You know they have a Broadway in Brooklyn, too? Kind of nice that way. And she's been writing poetry since the age of 7, which was only a couple of years ago, I think. And began performing her poetry she's got some experience in that. And with the encouragement of the late Risa, you've stumped me. Have you been writing prescriptions again, Penelope?
You can't read my handwriting.
Yes.
Risa Corson.
Uh-huh. Any relation to Johnny Corson? No. All right. She's been featured in the New York circuit all over the place, and her work has appeared in Medicinal Purposes. Did I mention we have a magazine? It's called Medicinal Purposes. We're kind of proud of it. Wings, Home Planet News, and Nomad's Choir, to name but a few. And now you're running workshops, I understand that. Let's see, you're running workshops for prisoners and children who are prisoners.
Well, not yet.
And
no children prisoners yet. Grown-up prisoners.
Do you do anything for lawyers?
No, maybe that's a good idea. Lawyers might need to be more poetic.
The judge will throw the book at you. And does freelance editorial work. Well, how about a freelance poem?
Okay. I would like to dedicate my reading to the memory of Risa Corson, who was the real mentor in my life. My first poem was her favorite, and I wrote it in 1973, Phoenix Complex. The ashes are still warm, and my feathers feel charred. The fire was blazing for a long, spectacular time, and the old phoenix has finally cremated itself. Rebirth. There is hope.
You know, most flying creatures are just content to drop off their feathers.
Well, the phoenix is special.
Ah, yes, like the rock. Do you have a rock poem in there?
A rock? No. Maybe that'll be my next poem.
Ah.
I'll go home and write it.
What do you have in there?
The next one?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's about what it feels like to grow up through the earth. Seed becomes plant. I am longing to absorb the soft, sweet air and light and push up with all of my strength and being. Oh, I am breaking a place in the earth apart with my back. Let me through. I'm growing.
Sounds like a couple of paramedics. Tell me more about Risa Corson. What is it that she did for you that you dedicate the reading? Why is she so special?
Well, I was writing poetry for years on little scraps of paper and sort of storing it away like a squirrel.
And she bought you a notebook. Right?
And I didn't really have that much confidence in myself, and I went to a reading that she ran, and I was like really nervous. I said, "Well, I think I'm a poet," and she said to me, "Oh, you are a poet," and she encouraged me so much I started reading it, performing it.
Reese, did you have anybody like that?
I've had several people like that.
Uh-huh. Anybody you can mention on the air?
Well, nobody that you would know, really.
Well, I don't know Risa either.
Well,
I barely know Penelope when you come right down to it.
yeah, I've had several teachers who really inspired me to go on writing. At those periods when I never really thought about being a writer, and people encouraging me and telling me that my work was good and that I should try to develop it more.
Okay, we'll find out about that in a little while. I'm going to get back to Penelope. Time for another poem, I think.
Okay. This one is called The Ultimate Victims.
Anybody I know? I keep asking that tonight. It's just
Children, they're the ultimate victims. Caught in cross currents of black markets, they starve. Caught in crossfire of drug dealers, they're slain. Caught in the ravages of war, they vanish. They're the ultimate victims of every adversity in the universe, while the blame goes unaccepted, unheard, and unheeded.
Now, when you do a children's workshop, do you have that poem in the back of your mind? What would you say is the most important thing you do for the kids?
Working with children, encourage them to, working with, in any workshop, it's the same thing. I want to encourage people to be writers, to facilitate their creativity.
You have much of a success rate?
I don't know what I would compare it to, but
I know, they never call, they never write, they never...
but I think it works.
Okay. All right, let's slip another one in. Let's see if this one works.
Okay. I wrote this on a few years ago on the 100th anniversary of the Wounded Knee Massacre, and this is in honor of Native Americans. Their blood has long since become part of the earth, and their screams part of the universe. The sacred hoop is slowly mending, as red and white respect each other, acknowledging a connection for the peace of the 7 future generations.
And they're only guaranteeing 7 at this point.
You know, that's a lot, 7 generations.
Yeah,
Robert,
that's true, but it
really.
can go in the wink of an eye. Now, I know that you do a lot of multiculturalism in your poetry. When did you first decide that you wanted to mix in other cultures? I know you've done Indian just now.
Yeah, I have.
You've done,
Well, actually, I have a Lakota poem here.
and I think you've done a little Spanish
And
too
I've done
once in a while.
I've written some poetry in Spanish.
Can we get the Lakota poem?
I had it as last, but you're the voice. Let me dig it out.
Oh,
Okay.
we're on the theme here, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay, now if there is anybody who is fluent in Lakota and who is listening, and I make a mistake,
I think I was out that day.
please forgive me, because I read this only in the best of spirit and respect for Native Americans.
And we don't have subtitles either, unfortunately. It's not in the budget. Anyway.
Tuwahe, Maka Ina, Mapia Ate, and Pitu Wakola, and Mapi Yellow. Translation. Family. The earth is my mother, the sky is my father, the sun is a friend, I am full.
You wouldn't happen to write anything in Lakota, would you, Reese?
No.
Unfortunately. We'll find out a little more later. Okay, what else do you have in there?
I wrote a poem about another plant poem.
What kind of plant do we have now?
Okay. This one isn't as friendly as the other one.
But?
It bites. 2 cactus plants.
That's sort of like your main squeeze there.
You don't want to get too close. You're familiar because you're just like me, a real survivor. absorbing your needs when available, and keeping away all contenders for closeness with your bite. Nothing's around for miles, yet you thrive in your isolation. Through endless days of seemingly unbearable heat, alive and growing, almost against your own will.
That's telling them.
Yeah.
I can see a few needles back there, as a matter of fact.
Got too close?
Yes. What else do you do besides plant life and multicultures? Oh, is this a family poem we have here?
My poems are about all different subjects. I even had one about lost gloves.
All right. Well,
But
what
I
is
don't
this?
have this
But
one.
what is this
Okay.
one?
This one is about my love of the earth.
Mhm.
I am a daughter of the earth. I am a daughter of the earth. In spring, my mother proudly shows me rebirth with her gifts of growing things. During winter, she sends me snow as frozen water purification. My symbiotic connection is strong. Her arms hold me in a gravitational hug.
Yes, Earth Daughter and soon-to-be Earth Mother, Penelope McGuffin. I want to thank you for coming on Poet the Poet. And we'll be back in a moment with Reese Thompson, so don't go away because there are plenty of surprises still in store.